Hi beautiful fam, how are you today? Hope you all are in high spirits. So let's just get into today's killer case on Machaela Garecht. Machaela Joy Garecht was 9 years old when she was abducted in Hayward, California, in broad daylight at the corner of Mission Boulevard and Lafayette Avenue on Saturday, November 19, 1988. That day, Michaela's friend Katrina Rodriguez rang her up to get Michaela to go out with her to the local market to get some food. Now Michaela was not allowed to go out alone by herself, but since she had turned 9, her parents let her go out independently as she insisted on it. Michaela and Katrina left home at 10 a.m. and rode their scooters to the Rainbow Market, 2 blocks away, to purchase food and sodas. The girls left their scooters by the front door as they went inside the store. Upon leaving the store, the 2 girls started walking home, forgetting about the scooters. When they realized they had forgotten them, they turned back to where they left them. However, they saw that one scooter was missing. Garecht then spotted the scooter farther down in the market parking lot, where it had been placed near a parked car. When Garecht bent down to pick the scooter up by the handlebars, an unidentified white male came out of the parked car, picked her up with his right arm around her waist, and put her into his car as she screamed. Rodriguez recalled the scene. "I looked up when I heard a scream, and I saw a man putting her into his car. She was still screaming. I just stood and watched, frozen in shock." The only witness to the abduction, Rodriguez ran back into the store to get help. The abductor escaped with Garecht, while Rodriguez notified a female clerk who phoned police to report the kidnapping. At the time of her abduction, Garecht was wearing a t-shirt with the word Metro on the front, rolled-up denim jeans, black Mary Jane shoes, and pearl-colored feather-shaped earrings. The female store clerk who phoned police on behalf of Rodriguez described the man who allegedly abducted her as hippie-like in appearance. However, it was subsequently revealed that the clerk had offered an incorrect description of the man, and had inadvertently mistaken him for someone else she had seen driving in the parking lot. The clerk described a man in his 30s with a mustache, driving a burgundy-colored car, a false description which was erroneously distributed in the media for nearly 2 days following Garecht's abduction. Katrina, the sole witness to the abduction, described Garecht's captor as a white male in his 20s. The most distinguishing characteristic was that he seemed to have severe acne or pockmarks on his face. He had shoulder-length, dirty blonde hair. He was around 6 feet in height and had a slender build. Katrina described him as having fox-like, blue eyes, wearing a white t-shirt, drove a large, older model, American-made sedan. It was possibly a 4-door vehicle and was either cream or tannish gold in color. The car may have had cement splatters on the sides and lights set into the rear bumper. The front bumper was battered and the vehicle appeared run down, seeming like it may have previously been in an accident. The car sped south on Mission Boulevard toward nearby Union City, California, with Michaela inside. Forensic inspection of Garecht's scooter yielded fingerprints from an unknown source, which law enforcement believed may have belonged to Garecht's abductor. On November 30, San Francisco 49ers quarterback Joe Montana made a public plea for the safe return of Garecht. The majority of the tips submitted occurred within the first month of Garecht's abduction, as it was reported by the San Francisco Examiner that approximately 4,000 tips had been received by late December 1988. A reward fund of over $70,000 was posted at this time for anyone who could provide information of Garecht's whereabouts. At the time of the kidnapping, Garecht's photo was featured as a missing child on milk cartons and billboards nationally, and thousands of flyers and posters were spread throughout the community. Within a day of her disappearance, family and volunteers had distributed 42,000 missing person flyers. In December 1992, a false lead was produced in Garecht's case when a prison inmate in Indiana named Roger Haggard claimed to have buried Garecht's body in the Hunters Point area of San Francisco. Upon further inquiry, Haggard alternately claimed he buried Garecht in a gladiolus field in Union City. Haggard was flown to San Francisco to recover Garecht's body, but after 8 hours of inspecting the alleged field, he admitted he had invented the story because he wanted to give the family some closure and peace, resulting in an additional 6.5 years being added to his pre-existing sentence. The 2009 reappearance of kidnapped schoolgirl J.C. Lee Dugard, after 18 years in captivity, led police to be initially hopeful that Dugard's abductor, Philip Garrido, might have also been involved in Garecht's disappearance. Hayward is within an hour's drive from Garrido's Antioch home in Contra Costa County, and Garecht's abduction took place 3 months after Garrido was freed from prison for rape and kidnapping. Like Garecht, Dugard was also thrown into the back of a car in broad daylight and in the presence of witnesses. The general description of the kidnapper and the car used in both kidnappings are also similar. The Hayward Police Department conducted an extensive investigation into the Garridos, and no evidence linking them to Garecht's abduction was found. The connection did, however, propel Garecht back into national and international attention and brought forth new leads. In August 2012, Wesley Shermantine, one of the so-called Speed Freak Killers duo, wrote a letter to the Stockton Record after his partner in crime, Lauren Herzog, committed suicide in January 2012, in which he pointed out that Herzog bore a resemblance to the composite of the person who kidnapped that Hayward girl. Shermantine and Herzog, who were apprehended in 1999, are suspected of having committed up to 19 murders in Northern California. At Shermantine's direction, law enforcement began excavating an abandoned well in rural Linden, California in February 2012-28, where Herzog and Shermantine disposed of their victims' 29 thousandths of bone fragments belonging to 5 different individuals. 28 were recovered from the well, some of which were believed to potentially belong to Garecht. 29, however, DNA profiling completed later that year excluded Garecht as a possibility. The bones believed to have been hers were determined to be those of 19-year-old Kimberly Billy, who had disappeared in 1984. 29 in January 2013, further excavations of abandoned wells in the area were completed, but yielded no further remains. 28. In 2015, a legal motion was filed by attorney Mark Garagos on behalf of a detective who was informed by a San Joaquin sheriff's deputy that a pair of Mary Jane shoes discovered in one of the Linden wells bore similarity to the shoes Garecht was last seen wearing. According to the detective, San Joaquin police refused to show him the shoes, both physically as well in photographs, and, as of March 2015, the shoes had not been examined by the Hayward Police Department. Michaela's case went on cold for 30 years until December of 2020, when police announced they have their suspect. On December 21, 2020, the Hayward Police Department along with the FBI announced the arrest of David Misk for the kidnapping and murder. He has been in prison since 1989 for murder and on trial for the murder of 2 women in 1986 by the Fremont Police Department. Back at the time when Michaela was abducted, the forensic testing of fingerprints was in its infancy. Due to this, police were not able to trace back all the fingerprints found on Michaela's scooter. The fingerprints were traced back to David as of recently, and he has been charged with the abduction and murder of Michaela. The trial date has yet to be set, and David currently is awaiting the trial date while already serving his ongoing sentence. Michaela's remains have never been found till date.